Alrighty then. All right, we'll see if I can. This is your stand, and let's see here. There are a few things to pay attention to with this stand. I'm gonna lower this down a little bit more. Here we go. That's better. Yeah, maybe not quite like that. All right, I'm gonna cut this thing up. Okay. All right, here's the stand. And, okay, there's a couple of things you'll pay attention to here. There's a couple of Allen wrenches. I'll show you what to do with those in a minute. This guy right here is going to lift the camera up and down. And you can control the tension on the macro focusing rail and the lift part of it a couple of different ways. There are these tiny little holes here, which I'm not sure you're going to see, but you can see that there's the Allen wrench that's in there. There's a tiny screw that will tighten and loosen and push on a contact area that gives a little bit of friction as it rises up and down. And then there's another one over here. There really is. Oh, yeah, there it is. And tighten, loosen. I'm going to set them where I believe that really probably will hold your camera pretty well. And so that'll come pre-adjusted. It's probably going to be just fine because there's a third contact point, and that is this right here. So this will loosen and tighten. It's a little bit larger of a contact area. And so what it's going to do is it's going to put tension on the rail so that when you put your camera in here, it'll hold it up. Now you have to push down really hard to make that go down. If you put your camera on there and it's not holding quite, which I really think on the adjustment that I just made, that it'll hold just fine. Just tighten this up right here. Then there's a knob over here. Let's see if you can see that. Yep, okay. The knob over here, and that's gonna move the camera to and fro. I've set it up so that this is gonna be way too close for your eye. And you can pull it back to where it works well for your camera. And so that moves the camera to and fro. I think, probably the 100 millimeter, you're gonna be just at the maximum length. The eye will probably fulfill the entire shot. So you might wanna move it back a little bit and then turn it down. I don't know, you're gonna deal with the, how close to the eye or how big the eye is in the screen that you want. But I typically will use this as a focusing mechanism rather than focusing with the lens. That's just what I do, but you can do whatever you want to do. This here's you can see that? Yep, I guess you can. There's a little lever here that is a safety lever, because if you can imagine, if your camera's on top of here and somebody bumps this and the camera wonk comes out, that's a really bad thing. So you put the safety mechanism over there, and if you bump this, it'll loosen, but it won't let the camera come out. So then you push it all the way over, you can release the camera entirely, make sure you're holding onto the camera before you do that. This here is going to mount to the bottom of the camera. I mean, it's a standard tripod type thing. Just screw it on, make sure it's straight, so that when you put it in here, it's perfectly in alignment with the person's face. You don't want it kicked off. This is a little bit loose, so I'm just gonna move this like this. You don't want it to kick off to the side. You want it to be straight on. And then there's this little knob right here. I don't know if you can see it, but you probably can. There you go. That little silver thing right there is gonna be, when you put the camera in, there's a short side. That side is the short side, goes in here. There's a longer side. That's the longer side, it goes over here. When you put the camera in, it goes in the short side, and then it pushes down the latch, and then you take this, just give it a squeeze, and it'll hold the camera. Very well. Put that over there for your safety latch so you don't knock it off unintentionally. That would be bad. So that's that. Is there anything else? Oh, well, this knob right here, that's gonna move the camera left and right, so it'll match up to the eyes. And as you're probably aware, you want to make sure that the camera is perfectly perpendicular to the person's eyes. And otherwise, you're going to be looking at a crooked eye. And some of it may be out of focus. So that's that part of it. Because I was able to set this up the way that I did not put an additional hole down in here because I believe this is going to be perfect for you. And then we have the other side. It's this side right here. So the person's chin goes in here, the person's forehead goes in here. And then this is adjustable. So it goes up and down depending on the size of the person's face. If you find that you need to move the person's face up a little bit, that's what you do. This is a screw. Has a little phenolic end there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but a little phenolic end so that it's nice and soft on the aluminum. And so put it up, give it a squeeze, it'll hold just fine. And it's like that. Anything else? Yeah, okay. So if you look at this hole and this hole, not that it really makes a difference, but the way that I've originally set it up is that the face mount goes on the hole that's further towards the edge. The macro focusing rail that holds the camera is the one that's a little bit closer in. It can go the other way if you want, but this is the way I do it. And you want to also pay attention to this. So this little bar is going to focus, or it's not going to focus. The little bar is going to be on the outside. That's the way this was set up to be. I've had people call, it doesn't work. And I say, take a picture of the system, and it's backwards. And when you put it right, it works just fine. So here's another little adjustment. You see that one right there. This adds tension to a friction point over here. That kind of tightens things up a little bit. Now, there's two of them. There's one for the top piece here, and there's one for the bottom piece here. It doesn't have to be very tight. I'm gonna send it the way it should be. And it just tightens things up a little bit. Now, you will find when you put your camera on, there will be just a little bit of wiggle that you can have if you, like if you raise it up or lower it, get it focused on, get it, close to where you want it on the eye, and it's just a little bit off, you will be able to move this up and down just a little bit. That is really convenient. And that's why that is. So you have these screws here. I'll send an extra one. I'll send those two plus an extra one just so you have it, and in case you lose it. But whenever you pack the camera up, I always like to put the screws back in this part here and this part here so that you always know that you have it. And I think that, that's the big Allen wrench. The big Allen wrench fits in here. It does. There it is. Doesn't have to be really tight. Just give it a good snug and it'll work just fine. So there you go. I hope that made sense to you, and certainly if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to give me a call or send me a text or an email, and I'll walk you through anything you need. But I think this is going to work out just fine. And take care and have a great day.